We had never visited Ardglass before, so we went on a walkabout to find out what was there. It looks like there was an early aviation pioneer called Joe Gilmore who lived at that house, and the surrounding countryside seemed to be quite flat and agricultural with great views of the Mourne Mountains. We had been told that there were 6 castles around Ardglass. Well, we didn't actually find 6. I suspect this was one at the golf club, but my skills as a golf cameraman weren't very good, as I kept losing the ball. Did this count as another castle? I'm not sure. There was a good view of the marina though. And the sunset that evening was very colourful indeed. Next morning the sunrise was absolutely tremendous, and it was well worth the 4:30 alarm just to see it. While we were in Ardglass Marina, we got talking to the couple in the next berth to Magic Hawk and discovered that we were both going to the same destination next. So we left around about the same time and we actually followed them out of the marina. Their home port was near to Chichester on the south coast of England, so they'd already had a fantastic journey to get to Ardglass. The sea state was absolutely smooth, very glassy, and there was no wind at all. Our cruising companions, John and Julie, sailed a beautiful Vancouver 28 named Carina. Once again, there was plenty of wildlife to marvel at along the way. And the mountains of Mourne were looking spectacular in the morning light. It was around about 6:15 when we were passing the entrance to Strangford Lough, and it was also time for breakfast. We had a very clear view of the Isle of Man to starboard as we went along. Eventually we got our first glimpse of Scotland in the distance.
It's Tuesday the 7th of June. It's probably stupid o'clock in the morning. We got up early to start our passage from Ardglass around to where we're going. Bangor Marina, yes, in Belfast Lough. We started out at 5 AM, but I must admit it's been quite a spectacular morning. We've had a fantastic sunrise. We've seen seals, we've spotted a minke whale. It's been really good so far, so well worth the early start. Unfortunately, there's only 6 knots of true wind, so we're having to motor sail yet again. But we're making good progress. We're doing 6.2 knots over the ground, so we should be there somewhere around about midday. There we go.
We were trying to keep up a reasonable pace in order to go through the sound between Donaghadee and the Copeland Islands. This is a tidal gate, and we were aiming to get through either around slack water or at worst slightly afterwards. It was actually slack water when we passed through, so we had no problems. The footage at the top right is being filmed by Julie, which is what she's doing in the main video. It was quite away from the marina entrance to our berth, so I've speeded this up a bit to give you an idea of the journey. Bangor is a really big marina, and I found it really handy to have a copy of the Reed's Marina Guide next to me at the helm, with the diagram for the marina, so I could just keep referring to it to find our way around to E-leg. We were allocated berth E08, and it was quite a trek round the outside of the marina to actually get there. Most of the visiting boats were on E-leg, so everybody had to make this same journey. Keep your eye on the white boat to the left of the picture. He had already slipped his lines but hadn't looked around to see if any other vessels were there, and he was starting to reverse straight at me. So I couldn't take any way off Magic Hawk. I had to wait until we turned into the berth, and I knew that as soon as I put her into reverse, the stern would go to starboard, as she always does. So we ended up with the bow pointing into the corner of the pontoon finger. However, to our amazement, a man dropped his trolley and ran across to help us, grabbed the bow and pulled us in. So this allowed Julie to hop off and get our mid-cleat rope firmly attached to the finger. When I went forward to thank the gentleman, I was even more amazed when he said, "I know you two, I watch your videos." So unbelievably, we just came across randomly a gentleman who watched our videos. So we shook hands, thanked him profusely. I'm very, very sorry I didn't get his name, but thanks anyway. Not long afterwards, Yacht Carina joined us in the next berth, and here is our track from Ardglass to Bangor. Bangor is quite near to the city of Belfast, so of course we had to get on the train and go pay a visit. Our main aim was to go to the Titanic Museum, so we got off the train at the Titanic Quarter and walked past the huge cranes until we found the fantastic museum building. The museum was the biggest tourist attraction in Belfast and was well worth a visit, but videoing the good bits inside wasn't allowed. And of course the obligatory picture of the sign outside. In the dry dock next to the museum is the Nomadic. The Nomadic was a tender to the Titanic and is the oldest surviving Cunard boat still in existence. While we were walking towards the centre of Belfast, we passed the Belfast Harbour Marina, which is in Abercorn Basin. It's almost at the centre of Belfast and looks a really good place to stay. We were very impressed with the city of Belfast. It was really vibrant and colourful. and Northern Ireland Railways provided comfortable modern trains that ran on time. Unfortunately, the weather deteriorated on the way back to Magic Hawk.
It's a wet afternoon in Bangor Marina.
Unfortunately, being held up by bad weather and strong winds blowing in the wrong direction seemed to be a recurring theme throughout the entire journey. We ended up spending 6 days in Bangor until we could move on. This westerly was enjoying a sail in blustery winds out in the bay. We passed the Royal Ulster Yacht Club on a walk around, and we agreed that it would be a good place to go and have a meal. So we booked a table, and the crews of both Magic Hawk and Carina enjoyed a really nice evening watching the club racing and eating a lovely meal. Highly recommended. We couldn't resist going back into Belfast on the train, but this time to the city centre. These party bikes were everywhere in the city centre, and everyone on them seemed to be having great fun. Belfast City Hall was a magnificent building, really palatial to look at. Our walk took us towards the Albert Memorial Clock Tower. However, before we got there, we had to find some shelter from a torrential rainstorm. This fish certainly wasn't out of water today. We passed the home of the Belfast Giants ice hockey team, and a little further down the dock was an obscenely big motor yacht. We caught the train back to Bangor and prepared for the next leg of our journey. We were delighted to be cruising again with Yacht Carina, who left Bangor Marina just before Magic Hawk.
It's Monday the 13th of June. It's about 10:15 in the morning. We've just left Bangor Marina in Northern Ireland. We're setting off across the lough at the moment, and our destination is Campbeltown in Scotland. Wind is about 10 knots at the moment. We've got full sail up, and we're making around about 6 knots of boat speed, so pretty good going. Quite happy with that.
Up to this point, I was thinking of renaming our summer cruise as the Summer Motor Sailing Cruise, because up to now we'd hardly had a decent sail for the entire journey. This passage certainly got off to a good start. I noticed on the AIS that a vessel was closing in on us quite rapidly, and it turned out to be Boss Tug. he was towing quite a large barge to a destination somewhere within Belfast Lough. As you can hear, the engine is running again as we lost the wind soon after we passed Black Head. So unfortunately we had to motor sail for the rest of the passage. We were a little way ahead of Carina and managed to get past the Stranraer to Larne ferry. However, Carina had to make a turn to starboard to run parallel with the ferry to safely get past it. Visibility got worse as we got further north. However, we managed to spot the granite island of Ailsa Craig. The south coast of the Mull of Kintyre looked very grey through the gloom as well.
Swapping over the courtesy flags from Northern Ireland to Scotland.
This was our third different courtesy flag. A little later we passed a yacht going in the opposite direction, which was from Norway. Once we got past Sander Island, all of a sudden the mist lifted and we could see the green, lush coastline of the bottom of the Kintyre Peninsula. The next surprise we got was the appearance of the famous paddle steamer, the Waverley. I had spotted it on AIS coming around the south of Kintyre, and it tracked us along the coast and eventually passed us and went into Campbeltown Lough. Our next landmark was the lighthouse on the end of Island de Var. Island de Var stands at the entrance to Campbeltown Lough. The Isle of Arran to starboard, although covered in cloud, still looked pretty spectacular. Magic Hawk and Carina both made it safely into Campbeltown, but it was really busy, and the only thing we could do was to raft up against other boats. However, we were in Scotland,